There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Did it all add up for you?
What, the ads?
Yeah. So many ads in this episode.
Yeah.
I have never heard of an ads in my life
Until
this week. And then I heard it like 7, 8, 9 times during this episode. And in different contexts too.
you're like shouting.
Oh, my bad.
You're like either really excited about the ads or I don't know. And when I saw it, I assumed they were talking about like Aztec gold. And of course I said that publicly in our pregame. And now I'm like, wow, I knew nothing of said ads, and
It's okay.
I got a schooling, if you will.
It's an ancient tool, okay? You're forgiven.
Well,
It's not something that people like, maybe they use a variation of it today, but it's not like you don't go to the store, the hardware store to pick up an ads, okay?
I mean, I don't know. Have you ever tried?
No. But
so maybe we should go down to the hardware
you've
store
walked
and
through
see.
hardware stores plenty of times. How many ads have you seen?
Well, I haven't gone looking for an ads.
Yeah. All right. Well,
let's see if it adds up.
Yeah, sure. All right. So yeah, we have our episode. It's season 9, episode 7. It all adds up. Yeah, and we're excited to be here with you today. A little bit quicker than has been in the past. So we're trying our best to get to a better schedule for y'all because it's important to us, and we know it's important to you.
Yeah, to us, to you, to all the things here.
All of the things.
What is this?
All right. So you want to jump into the episode?
I do. I'm trying to multitask here, and I know I shouldn't be, but
Well, go ahead, multitask. I know how to stall. It's fine.
Stall.
Yeah. So what we can do while we're stalling is I could just mention my new podcast. I had a new podcast that launched a couple days ago, and I think one person got to listen to it because I
didn't listen to your wife.
I didn't listen to my wife, and she knows better than me.
I am so glad that is recorded, and I feel like that should be a sound clip for the board going forward. Yeah. I'm just gonna kind of like keep it hidden on the side, and when you argue with me, you don't know how.
Okay, yeah, I'm learning. Okay,
you're learning.
Anyway,
yes.
So I have a new podcast with a good friend of mine. His name is Dusty Hartshorn. I'm Dustin White. He's Dusty Hartshorn, and together we are dusting off the past, and we talk about old school stuff. With our powers combined, we are dusting off the past, and we talk about stuff from growing up, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It was a lot of fun to do. The reason nobody got to hear it is because we did it as a video podcast, and I played a lot of videos in the background, like without sound, but YouTube and Facebook flagged them for copyright.
Quickly.
And I was sure that wasn't going to happen. So. But she knows. But whatever.
This is literally an argument we've been having for years now.
Yeah, but I don't think
I just
you don't understand my position on a lot of the stuff.
I very much understand it, but it's wrong.
Okay. Anywho.
Okay, I'm done multitasking.
Are we ready?
And I think we're ready enough that we can get going into the war room. Let's open up with the war room that they opened up with, because there was some interesting conversations there.
Well, yeah, the war room at the beginning of the episode basically set up the entire episode. So
well, yeah, it was like the kickoff. Yes. It was like the season premiere. No, it was the episode premiere.
Okay,
sure.
So we had Rick and Marty, of course.
Yes.
We also had Alex, Lagina, Laird, Billy, Craig Tester was there via video, and we had Tom Nolan.
Tom Nolan sighting.
It was good to see Tom.
When we see Tom, we know it's going to be a swampy time.
He's all about that swamp action.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're like bringing him in and they're like, Tom, come on, you need to come in because literally we just got shut. We just shut part of your swamp down by accident. Sorry, Oops. Tom. So we're sorry. We need to make sure you're very involved in our next area we pick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Where's Hensky? Just ask him to tell you where it's at. That's what Laird said. Could have avoided this whole kerfuffle if we would have just asked Hensky.
That's what Hensky's for.
Is that like a more,
No. For good times and bad times. Never mind. Just he knows what the stuff is. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay.
So Marty says that they are meeting to talk about where they can dig and where they cannot dig. Right?
Yes. And so, of course, Laird is there, a resident archaeologist that says that they've applied for a swamp general permit, which has been approved. So, and they have permission to dig on the south side and in the paved area, which has also been approved. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at the circle towards the top, like he mentions, we just got to be careful of our edges because that circle is, it butts up pretty close to the paved area. So I'm hoping that means we're going back to the paved area.
It sounded like that was on the table.
Oh my gosh.
Time out real quick before we move on. I just want to say, because I looked in the chat and Boki said bummer, and I'm assuming that's about my podcast with my friend Dusty. That doesn't mean that you won't get to hear it.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna put it on a podcast feed, and you'll be able to download it. And I might put it on. I'll probably end up putting it on with just a static logo or something, so there's no video on Facebook,
just audio
and YouTube. Yeah, because that way, well, it'll at least be out there because you guys should listen to it. It's fun. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just need to say that because I didn't want to leave the impression like, oh, you're never going to hear it.
Anyway, so the paved area has been approved and they have to be careful at the edges, or as Marty calls it, the circle thing. Direct Marty quote.
The circle thing.
Yes. Marty says that he will admit openly that he was wrong about the swamp. Yay! It seems that anytime they have dug in the swamp of any significance, they find something of significance. So that's great.
It's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
Some things will never change.
Yep. So Rick acknowledges Tom talking about him and his father's interest in the swamp and Tom's interest in the stone road. But he said to Tom, your father and you always said that if there's something to find, it's in the swamp. Did you not say that?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I did say that.
There's answers in the swamp. We hear you loud and clear now, Tom. Loud and clear.
Tom is so like nonchalant. He's just like kicking back, like, yeah.
Every time you see him.
Even on the Zoom. Remember the Zoom?
Yes, on Zoom in the war room. He's the guy that leans back in the chair and he's like, yep. Yep. He is stuck to his guns with his father for a long time. And it feels good when it starts coming back. Kind of like when you should have listened to your wife the first time. It feels like, Tom's like, yeah, should have listened to me the first time. We got the swamp, man.
Yeah, well, there are answers in that swamp.
There are.
I'm excited to see what else they find. So there was a flashback featuring Fred Nolan and his discoveries in the swamp, and that they had found a ship's railing dating all the way back to 660 AD, theoretically, possibly.
Yeah, I think that they featured that piece on the season finale.
Yeah,
right.
And I think even Gary brought it up later on. And and they also reminded us of the seismic. What is that? What was it called? Seismic what? Survey.
I was gonna say seismic explosions.
All the little seismic explosions all over this.
All I could see were poop, poop, poop.
And that's what they did on the whole island. They blew it up. They blew up the entire island.
They did. I've got a screenshot of so over 2 years, they have pretty much blown up the entire island with seismic.
Not the western side, have they?
They've done a decent amount over there, but mostly on that side of the drumlin. But there is a map and a screenshot, maybe if we ever get to like a fun, just little bonus episode with maps. Fun with maps. That has the overlay of the different years that they did it. Because like the first year, it was really experimental, right? And then the next year, they had kind of dialed it in a bit.
They refined it.
Within that time,
they created a process.
There was a ship-shaped anomaly found.
There was a ship-shaped anomaly. I hope it's a real thing. I hope it's a ship and it's not Noah's Ark. Sorry.
So when we asked Stephen Guptill in that first interview we did with him before he had been lovingly named Guppy, we asked him if we thought there was a ship in the swamp, and like, you know, because what did we think about the drilling that was going on there? He goes, well, we didn't hit it. Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
But they did, like, they tried to go through and core, like, right through the center of it. You see, like, 4 different cores through the center of the anomaly.
4 core?
4 core! Like parkour, but with a ship in the swamp. And the only thing I remember them ever hitting was cap rock and not necessarily wood. So the question is it a chamber? Is it something else? I don't remember what the magnetometer survey looked like over the swamp. Do you?
I don't know. No, I don't. I have no idea. It was like all pink and stuff down there because there's all sorts of, you know.
So
I don't know.
What they're measuring with the magnetometer survey, right, is how well it's going to conduct electricity, whatever is down there. So, for example, if there's water, a flood tunnel or something running underneath, it's going to look very different than an area not right next to it, because water conducts electricity a lot higher and at a better rate than, say, just rock.
Sure.
Okay. So my initial thought was, what would the readings be back over the ship-shaped anomaly in case it were like a void or something?
A void?
But I guess if the swamp's like super wet, you're going to get a lot anyways, and the variation in the survey would come back very little.
I don't know. I looked at that swamp on this episode when it first started, and it looked really super dry. So,
yeah, but also rather soupy, like
no,
Jello,
that came later
right?
in the episode. It was dry first.
But you know what? We haven't had that point where they're like, they just spent all week draining the swamp either.
Because they don't do that anymore.
They don't drain the swamp.
No, they do, but like they don't need to put on a show for us anymore. We get it.
They don't need to put on a show for us.
Not specifically about draining the swamp. Like we know, we've seen it. Like
there's a lot of things we've seen, like, you know, when the drill goes into the chapel vault and bing, it hits it with gold and comes back out like, hello.
That's true.
Well, I don't need to know that again, but we get it. So why wouldn't we show us draining the swamp?
Because
I need answers.
The drill thing takes 5 seconds. Draining the swamp is a longer process. Like
to say, hey guys, they drained the swamp this weekend versus here, let me queue up the chapel vault replay.
Okay.
You think that's a 5-second difference?
Whatever.
Okay, fine. Back to the war room.
Yeah, let's go back to the war room. What does Marty ask Billy?
I don't know. What does he ask Billy? Marty asks Billy if they can get a swamp excavator because, you know, they want to dig some stuff in the swamp.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to say swamp expert. I'm like, they have one. They got a swamp doctor.
Got a swamp doctor.
He wasn't even in this episode.
Why is the swamp doctor not in the swamp excavator or something? Like, that feels like a thing that should happen.
Anyhow. Yeah, so what else? What were they talking about? What did Marty ask Billy?
Anyways, I just said he asked him for a swamp excavator.
I know, but like,
and Billy's like, we don't need that. Because we're going to be on the south side, which is where their permit was okayed at, right? Yeah. And that's a huge piece of equipment, and it's going to cost a lot of money to do the swamp excavator. I bet you even with COVID, it would be harder to get it to the island because I get a feeling there's less swamp excavators in the world than long reach excavators, and they could probably get a long reach quicker.
Okay. I just think why is Billy concerned with spending Marty's money? He's never been concerned before.
Because he wants to.
Marty's always like, here's my wallet, Billy, go for it.
Maybe he saw the budget and says, if I spend less on this excavator, I can use it over here for this thing. You know, maybe they're like, hey, we're upping the C-14 budget, so got to take down a little bit on the excavator budget.
True that.
And remember when they said how many spoils have to come out of there, and that meant they needed even more water? Well, then Billy's got to provide water. You're going to pay for the transportation of water. Logistics.
Okay.
Don't ask me unless you want me to get into the details.
All right, so we are done with the first war room. Where are we going to now? We're going to the money pit, going to the swamp,
Let's see here. We're going to go to the swamp.
To the swamp. All right.
Because the unanimous decision was get Billy a long reach excavator.
And so that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're there to receive it. We have Alex, Billy, Charles, Rick, Marty, and Gary all out there just being super impressed by this thing.
Alex in particular. Mm-hmm. I feel like he had a few Tonka trucks as a kid.
Probably. So Clotworthy explained that this is an 80-foot reach on this on the arm of this excavator and allow them to dig much deeper than anything before. And they're not going too far out. They're staying right next to the road. So it's a...
Well, they're going to go...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they can reach from the road, basically. Mm-hmm. I think is there a little pad that's right off the road that it's sitting on?
No.
It's sitting on the road.
Yeah, it's like right on the edge. They probably did some reinforcing of it before, bringing it in, but it's not going to weigh or distribute the weight the same way. The biggest one they had before, I believe, was the 50-foot when they were digging that big old hole down on like the uplands from the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy was sitting on the money per the VLF survey.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. So this is an extra 30 feet for Billy.
Cool. Yeah, it's
and Marty, there was a dynamic duo there. Marty's like, okay, he's digging all the muck out for Gary to scan. And Marty's redirecting the water.
Yeah, scooping the water. And yeah, good stuff. All right. So Rick says that they need to figure out where Gary wants them to lay down the spoils, basically.
Right.
Billy then uses that long reach excavator and he starts scooping away. He's scattering the spoils for Gary right where he wanted them. Mm-hmm. There was a side interview with Rick where he says he's not sure that there's a treasure chest, quote unquote, to pull out of the swamp area, but Fred Nolan and they have pulled out ship parts. And he goes on to say that if there's a ship there, he wants the evidence.
Well, we keep seeing ship parts, so let's find some more.
Show me the money.
Parts. Show me the ship.
Yeah. Laird shows up to the guy with a shovel in hand. He's like, somebody order a shovel? Basically, right?
Right? Someone's like, Laird, I need a shovel. And he was Johnny on the spot.
It'd be funny if it was like Postmates and like Laird is like on call. He like ran over to the local Ace Hardware and picked up a shovel for him. And he's like,
Laird mates.
Laird mates.
Laird's delivery service, speedy delivery.
Laird's got too much on his plate for that.
Yeah, that poor guy has got more paperwork this year than anybody. Oh, man.
Rick explains to Laird that Marty is working on clearing the ditch so they can move a bit of water out, like you were saying earlier.
Yep.
And in the next scoop, Billy pulls out a big giant log with a stump.
Mm-hmm.
Rick asks how deep it was, and Billy says it was between 4 to 6 feet deep. It was big.
It was huge. It was a big tree.
Yeah. And Billy, I think he even said, that looks like it's probably an oak.
Yeah.
Oak Island. And there's no oaks left on Oak Island. So they just literally found the oak of Oak Island. Boom. I mean, that should be that's a treasure.
The oak of the island.
Yeah.
Well, he says that after Rick takes the shovel Laird has brought him and chip, chip, chip. It like takes a chunk out of the side of the bark and it's like bright orangish colored, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, Billy's just...
And he sniffs it.
Right. Instantly, Rick sniffs it. And I was like, okay, calm down. But Billy's like, looks like could be oak. It's oak colored. Thanks, Billy.
Gary metal detected over it, did not find anything.
Nope.
Rick, he talked to Laird over by the stump and talks about the depth it was at and how the heck it at 4 to 5 feet or 4 to 6 feet deep. How is there at least 4 feet of organics on top of this thing? Mm-hmm. It had to have been growing at some point, be knocked down. It has a stump. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like carted over to this area with a stump. Mm-hmm. So it probably was growing there, got knocked down, got buried under 4 foot of organic materials. Mm-hmm. What the heck?
Well, and like he says, it's kind of it tells a story. Mm-hmm. This is not the first tree with roots that they have found in down in the swamp. I mean, clearly there was a tree from the root that was growing underneath the road, right? Last year they had found what was that? Was it last year, the cork oak? Then there was one, I want to say, that we saw the year before that was closer to the eye, that had that metal rod in it. And I was talking about, hey, maybe this was one of the original, like the origin point trees. When they were doing lots, they would do something like put a metal rod in a tree, and that's your point of origin on a survey. Well, same idea. Well, if, say, Gary had found a hit in that tree with something like that, that'd be particularly interesting, and could say, okay, this tree was here at least at the time when they were doing that survey. What was that, like 1881, when it was divided into the 32 lots?
Long time ago.
But this is clearly very old, and it probably wouldn't have grown there in a wetland environment. So what's the story here with that?
Yeah, Rick basically said that it wouldn't be rooted if it wasn't dry here at one point.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been that big.
Yeah, it was big too. Yeah,
exactly. So the idea would be to do dendro on it and figure out how old it is.
How many examples of oak from Oak Island are there?
A lot.
Where?
Like, there's different types of oak on the island.
Haven't they said many times that there's no oaks left on Oak Island?
No, they're saying that the canopy oaks that were up on Isaac's Point are long gone, which they're saying is a really unique oak that would be a feature you'd easily be able to see from a distance, right? Yeah. So the canopy oaks are gone.
It makes a lot more sense now that you say it out loud, because I just thought to myself, but anyway, I don't know, finding an ancient oak on Oak Island.
Yeah, it's still cool. Pretty rad. Like, and I like that Laird says he'd like to see a 500-year representation as to what it might have looked like. And that could help explain some of the other things that are happening here.
For sure.
So we know that last year they were doing with Tony, like the survey around the water, you know, to get an idea of what it would have looked like then. But as they also come across some of these down trees, and I'm willing to bet they have found more stumps than what we have seen. It'd give you a good idea of what it looked like before.
I'm just a viewer. I'm just a consumer of what they throw at me on TV over here.
Yeah, well, I'm an overthinker that likes to look into things and put pieces together.
Right on.
With our powers combined,
we are Captain.
We have this podcast.
All right, so that was the end of the first segment at the swamp. We do go back to the swamp later on.
Yep, swamp segment 2.
Yeah, we see again Rick, Marty, Gary, Charles, Alex, Billy, and Laird. Billy is digging, and it's just slop now at this point. It's just goop.
Alex
really
and Charles,
runny mud.
They're like disgusted. Alex says it's like Jello.
Yeah, and I think what did
Charles Charles pipes in saying he didn't think he'd like that flavor. Me either, Charles.
I don't know. It looked kind of like chocolate pudding.
It looks straight up tapioca chunky, though.
Yeah, I don't like chunky, but I like chocolate pudding.
Yeah, but that, you know, it feels more like, you remember all the like mercury in the swamp, maybe some arsenic, who knows? Like that feels like it's a bad idea.
Yeah, but Rick isn't scared to taste it.
Are you Rick?
No,
I didn't think so.
But Rick is like, I don't know. I love that he once called it brackish water, and Clotworthy calls it brackish bog, like every episode since, or almost every episode.
Brackish Jello.
I know. There you've figured out exactly
I've solved
what it
the
is.
Mystery, the Jello mystery. It's brackish Jello.
That's the flavor, brackish. All right.
Oh, geez. Let's see here. Oops, that's the wrong section.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing here is that Marty points out the excavator that Billy is in, and he looks
That it looks really
big. Yeah, until you see it digging in the giant swamp comparatively.
Yes.
Yeah, but it is big. And if you wanted to hide something, this is sure a good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they are searching through some more of the spoils. Rick pulls out a piece of flat wood and shows it to Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks worked to me. It looks like it's purposefully planked.
Yeah, that it kind of had like a gash through it.
Well, and it's just nice and straight, and
it was chunky but straight.
Yeah, on one side it was more chunky. Mm-hmm. On like the finished side, it looked like it was a finished piece of wood, just super old.
What do you think it was cut by?
We haven't got there yet.
So?
Yeah. So it's funny that Clotworthy chimes in because
Gary said it first.
Yeah, because okay, so we skipped over this part because we're coming back to it next.
Mm-hmm. When
Gary and Rick are doing metal detecting, they find the ads, right? And Gary's like, "Oh, this could have been cut by an adze," and then Clotworthy pops up and says, "A piece of wood, possibly cut by an adze." And it's like, "Whoa, Clotworthy, calm down, man."
But now everybody assumes everything's been cut by an adze. Like the Fellowship is saying, we don't have axe cut wood anymore. We have adze cut wood.
Well, I don't know. They found more axes on Oak Island than adze, but you know,
the tools go hand in hand, guys. Hand in hand, or you use your hands.
Yeah. So they take that piece of wood. Rick and Gary call Laird over to take a look at it, and he thinks that it does have chop marks in it, and like you would see with an adze.
And that makes me giggle.
Yeah. So Laird liked that. Rick takes it off to wash it, and he takes it down to the shore. Gary then, and he shows it to Marty because little brother has got to go see what big brother's up to. Right?
Well, of course.
Yeah. Gary spots a piece of wood and he can't let it go.
That was his term. He's like, Billy, stop.
Stop, Billy. I got something got to do. And thankfully he did. I'm glad he saw that. He what did he see those with?
His
twin
optical scanners. That's what I was gonna say, like it's just his eyes, but twin optical scanners are way better.
Yeah, he did pretty good with that. And he wanted to fish it out, but he couldn't quite reach it. So Laird came over and helped him.
Yeah. Well, Gary's like, I'm gonna get a piece of plywood, and Laird is Johnny on the spot, says, I'll get it. Yeah. And poor Laird, I think, has been locked up like doing paperwork for too long. He really wanted to do it.
You when we were watching this, you called something.
Laird and Gary, I feel like, have become the new dynamic duo. Yes, kind of like Batman and Robin.
Okay, so who's Batman? Laird. Laird's got the belt, right?
Laird man. Yeah, he's got the utility belt.
Yeah.
But I guess so does Gary, but
I had to play that because otherwise we weren't going to play it because it's no archaeology trailer in this episode.
I know, which is it's terribly unfortunate.
Yeah.
So Laird gets the piece of plywood and like kind of puts it on top of the giant mound, and Gary climbs up and Laird says and does give him a little push, and you see Gary straight up surfing.
Everybody's gone surfing Oak Island.
Yeah, surfing the brackish jello because he like pushes him and Gary's got his arms out. Like this is a gift that needs to happen.
Yeah. And
Billy's laughing at him.
Yeah, Billy.
Like the crew circled around just laughing at them, us too. And it's was it Alex or someone was like, he's going in. He's going in.
Well, he's got good balance.
And
well done, Gary.
He gets it and like pulls back a little bit. Laird pulls him back a little bit and they get off. And, at least I'm like clapping because Gary did a good job and didn't fall in. But he's pretty proud of his accomplishment. Gary, he comes out victorious with this piece of wood, and he proudly shows it to his teammate Laird, and that agrees. And he's like, "Well, looks like a flat piece of wood with some kind of notch in it." And Laird actually agrees, like right there on the spot, that it definitely looks like it's been cut. He even says in ads. I don't know if it was on that one or later, but it was like, yeah, this is ads cut wood. If Laird's in on it, then I know it's a thing.
Yeah, for sure. So Marty comes over to take a look at it too, because he needs to see what Gary's been up to.
What the hubbubaloo is.
Yeah. And Marty literally just grabs it from him and says, all right, peace out. Go back to work.
No, what was his term? He says,
I have a man down at the beach.
I'll get this washed up for you. I got a man on the beach, aka brother.
Yeah, and then he waltzes off with it, and then you see Laird and Gary just standing there like huh, well, we had something. I guess we'll go keep looking again.
It's one of those moments where it's like, yoink.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Let me go take it to my brother who's going to clean it off in the ocean with like seaweed or kelp or whatever. I mean, I appreciate him using
man at the beach, okay?
His man at the beach is got the loofah of the sea and is going to town and doing a rather good job making the woods.
Sure, of course. So, yeah.
Classic.
It was just funny.
Gotta love the fellowship.
Rick gets his hands on this other piece of wood, and Marty hands it to him and says, careful, it's heavy. And Rick's like, it's not heavy.
Nothing's heavy to Rick.
And then he says it looks a little more suspicious.
This wood is sus.
Well, it looks like it was worked for sure. And so he's debating like, so should we get this C14? You know, and
is it worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? And then what is you don't have it in your notes here, but Rick or Marty said something like, what did he say to him? You remember? He said something like
whether or not it should be C14 dated.
Oh, that, and then right after that, he said something like, "Oh, what's the definition of madness?"
Oh, yeah, doing the same thing over and over.
Well, no, Rick did not say that. He said, "We're not there yet."
Yeah.
Okay.
They had a nice brotherly jabbing moments back and forth. It was kind of hilarious.
It was funny.
And we're not there yet. We're not crazy yet.
Yeah. So the swamp kind of ends with Alex and Charles taking a look at the wood. And they agree that it seems to be worked. Billy says that it looks like pieces of wood you would use for a wharf. Right? You know, it's thicker and rounded, and rough on one side, smooth on the other. Rick pointed out they are near the area where Terry DeVoe projected the wharf, and Laird totally agreed with that. He's like, "Yep, that's right where we are."
Did you notice? So Rick says that, looks to Marty. Marty's eyes get like saucers, and he quickly turns his head and looks to Laird, and Laird goes, "Yep, it is. If Laird says it is." Guys, good job, Terry.
Good job, Terry.
I feel like we need a clapping track, an applause track.
Well, I'll silently clap.
Okay. A golfer's clap.
Sure.
Is that what we're doing?
Yep. All right. So now where are we going?
Well, if that's all swamp, then let's get the origin story of the Az.
Ooh. So to lot 4?
To lot 4.
Okay. So in lot 4, they showed a map before they started doing it.
Correct.
And they were looking in the vicinity of where the hole under the hatch would be, and not where the valve would be, because
there are a couple places on lot 4.
Yeah, but like there's one that's okay. There's one area that is where they had the anomalies from that scanning, the magnetometer scan from last week and the week before. So that was right next to the road, right at the southernmost part of lot 4.
Where Steve calculated the hatch, which would have been about 10 feet away.
I don't know about that, man, because literally if you look
Steve's
at Zena's,
the data guy.
If you look at Zena's map, what would be in that area is the valve.
I agree.
The hatch. But it appeared that they were searching closer to where you would think the hatch would be when they were doing the metal detecting in this episode.
Yes. I concur.
Yeah. So we had Gary with his favorite digger. Or is it favorite or his lucky?
His lucky digger. Which, if you ask me, if it's his lucky digger, it should be his favorite digger. He's the Bobby Dazzler digger.
Yeah, Rick Lagina.
He's the Bobby Dazzling digger. Dig, 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 dig. I'm a very own soundboard.
All right, so they're still looking for that hatch, right? And the first thing they pull up is a large iron spike because Gary's, metal detecting. It gets the beep, beep, beep. Because gets the lucky digger out there on it.
Yep.
And it's a big giant metal spike.
It's a big mamma jamma.
And he said it was quite heavy.
Mm-hmm. That it was iron.
Yeah. And so this is, you know, I guess bag it and tag it.
Yeah.
And then they move on. And but Rick does have like a little side interview here where he talks about how special Xena was to him, basically, and how he has a special place in his heart for Xena's research. But they're still working to see if they can prove the significance of it.
And confirming like places on the map. And I think he actually, maybe he says this a little later when he's talking to Krista Brousseau about this map that they're looking at, why they're over on lot 4. They're trying to say, okay, this actually does exist on Xena's map, right? So I'd say the triangle clearly exists. There's like the oak enter here. Okay, well, I could give them that. The basin, aka the eye of the swamp. The, what's the other one? The dam, which would make sense if you were closing off to make it a swamp. And then we have if we put it in that context,
sure,
we've kind of said yes.
But if it's a hoax map, would have been pretty easy to like come up with some weird alternative names for the areas that you already suspect things could be.
Like
where they've already been looking in, you know, as a fake thing. I hope Xena's map is real, though.
I hope it is too. And I mean, there's been so much discussion about the date. Do you think it's a date? Do you think the date on the map is actually a date?
I hope so.
But it's written out as a year and then it points to something. I'm just saying.
I just like, I eat what's in front of me, right? So like,
you don't. You're so picky.
What they serve up, I just consume, and I don't really look a whole lot deeper into it, like deep meanings. I look to be entertained by the show and just be excited about what they're doing.
But knowledge is power.
I know. That's why I have you. You're so powerful.
Okay.
Look at that. I am feeling that bicep.
It's all that. Actually, I haven't even got to arm day yet at the gym. So, okay. But remember the information Xena presented was 3 different documents, right? La Formula. And then there was the one that looked like a map and it had the different grid lines. And, you know, if the same person wrote these maps, the grid lines that have numbers on them, longitude, latitude, they're all done in like Roman numerals. Why in the world would you spell out the year and date? That's not the way, and then point to a different island. No, that's.
You know what? Maybe you need to call up the fellowship and get in on a virtual war room with them and be like, hey guys, guess what? It might say the hole under the hatch up there, but this is not a date, yo. And then they'll be like, oh, what does it mean? And you'd be like, I don't know. I'm just telling you it's not a date. I'm just stating the obvious here, like the guy with the hole under the hatch. That's my only way into a war room is I've decided if I take the approach of, hey, this is wrong. And that's my one shot. That or when the Guptill guarantee, I pray, makes the air. It still has not. The people listening to our normal podcast probably don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, man. You should explain it real quick. Okay, so I created a Guptill guarantee logo stamp, the stamp is about 1.5 inches, and it's one of those self-inking. Like I made the design and then had the stamp made. And then you press it down and it puts a Guptill guarantee, which is a circular seal on whatever it is. Twin G's. Yeah, it's got mirrored twin G's for the double G for the Guptill guarantee. And it says around the top, it says Guptill guarantee. And the bottom says right the first time. Right the first time. I went through several ones of like what you put on it was at first it was I'll get my GPS. Then it was it's a rock. I did the math. And I didn't tell Steve about it. I packaged it all up and I stamped a card and like wrote like I present you here with thy formal Guptill guarantee for all the land and folded it up, put it in there. So when he opened it, he got it.
And I told Scott it was coming, but he didn't film him opening it. But I guess he freaked out and loved it and stamped everything in sight and people as well. So rumor has it that he was going to try to put it on a map. I did stamp a ton of things before I sent it to him just because testing it, right? So keep an eye out for a double G. It's about 1.5 inch circular stamp. And that will be my first and probably only appearance on the Curse of Oak Island via a logo.
We'll
I mean, a certification.
Right the first time.
I still I did the math, but
that's pretty good too. Yeah. So,
okay. Now that's over.
Yeah. I just felt like you need to explain because we've explained it quite a few times on our Oak Island pregame on Tuesday evenings at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, an hour before the Curse of Oak Island starts. We have at facebook.com/Oak Island podcast. We do an hour-long live stream, maybe 50 minutes somewhere.
Right.
It's between 50 minutes and an hour because we like to let people get their popcorn and stuff.
Yeah.
But you should join us if you haven't already. I agree. We usually get a good crowd going.
Yeah, everybody has a grand old time.
And everybody has a really fun time. So, are you pulling up the Guptill guarantee?
I was seeing if I had it handy, but the old ones I have here say I'll grab my GPS and it's not a rock.
Yeah.
I didn't. Doesn't look like I have.
That's okay.
OG. So
why don't we get back to lot 4?
I think we should definitely get back on track.
Yeah. So, they're still trying to prove Xena's research and map were, relevant to the hunt.
Yes.
The next thing they do is they start scanning again, and they get a metal hit, and it's a two-way repeatable signal.
Naturally.
And I think Gary calls it a little screamer. Right?
A little screamer?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little screamer. And then they go to start. We have the Lucky Digger. Man, he digs some nice holes, doesn't he?
He does. Like you said, he's got the whole plug thing.
Yeah, he's able to make it so it doesn't just crumble apart when he pulls it out. I mean, it depends on the soil.
He's not like a messy digger. It's like this perfect little section that comes out. Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Anywho, so they found this Adze. Thought it was super cool. They're like, well, this is where we would have got some archaeology stuff because they're like, well, let's take it, do some XRF. What else did they say?
Take it to Carmen.
Yeah. Oh, did they say that? I thought they wanted to take it to Kelly Barassa first.
Maybe.
Yeah, but we didn't see that happen. Even if they did say it, if they didn't say it, whatever. They just said
bag and tag it.
Bag and tag it, and then they take it to go see.
When it
Carmen
came out, my initial thought is it looks like a foot. Like a big old human foot, all the mesh together, and then I decided it looks like the foot on a sewing machine, but that would be a very large sewing machine.
Thanks for sharing that.
And I didn't know what an Adze was though.
I bet you're the first person, I bet you're the only person that thought that was a foot.
Not true. Mom goes, "Oh my gosh, is that a foot?"
Oh,
so
well, she is.
I mean, there are genetics. I guess
you guys are the same. So
that's true.
All right. So let's go to Northville Farm.
Well, looky here.
All right. So who shows up? We have Carmen being
Carmen's
met
there.
by Jack, Marty, and Alex.
Yep.
So Marty made the trek out to Northville Farm this time. It's good to. I bet he liked being on the field trip.
He said that.
Yeah.
He said that he likes talking to Carmen and that he seemed genuinely excited or maybe even starstruck when they brought Carmen to the island because he likes all the extra knowledge. Carmen's got some great insight.
I know. He's always fun to see.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thinking about it now. They didn't do subtitles for Carmen.
They did.
Oh, they did.
They didn't do it before. It's like when Carmen comes to the island, they take away the subtitles, but when he leaves the island, they follow him. I don't understand.
I didn't notice them. I'm not very observant.
Maybe because you're just getting used to them.
Maybe.
All
right. So Carmen asks them if they got some goodies for him.
They do.
Alex is like, "Oh, yes, I do." And he actually had 2 bags. And
yes.
We only saw one artifact being looked at.
That was That was painstaking.
And what's
for
the
me.
other artifact? What is it?
It's probably the other like piece of metal that Gary found
Maybe.
near it. I don't know.
Yeah, so Alex pulls out the ads, and that's what we get to see him take a look at.
Still looks like a foot.
Hmm.
For those of you that are interested, because details matter, the bag in which Alex pulled it out of says Lot 4, N334-345, number 110, August 21st, Adze/blade ? G. Drayton.
What up, G?
What up, G? So G found it on August 21st. It was probably artifact 110. But you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, N334345. So when you look at the money pit, the way that they do the grid, it starts with N, and then most of the numbers are like 6 something. But they did say they gridded the entire island. So I bet you if I could grid the rest of the island with the corresponding 5-foot increments, I could probably figure out where that is.
Sounds like a lot of work.
No, I just like it all finally clicked at what the N334 means.
Sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like I won't be
Not
seeing
if
much of you.
I can auto-populate.
I don't know. It sounds like you're going to be hiding in your little cubby hole, drawing up maps again. Where me and the kids have to fend for ourselves.
Oh, shut up. I haven't hardly had any mapping time lately.
I know, but I remember last year.
Oh, yeah, because you were orphaned. Like,
just kidding.
Come on. Anyways.
Yeah, so they show him the artifact.
Yes.
And he says, oh, this is an English style topping ads.
Of course it is. Thanks, Carmen.
Duh. All right. And so he said it would be something for smoothing, used for smoothing timbers and to smooth the floor of a deck, get rid of the knots, make the edges of things, of your lumber, so on and so forth.
Thanks, Carmen. Of course you would know that immediately when it comes out of the bag.
Yeah. And he points out that it doesn't have to have much of a curve, so it was pretty well used. And then he demonstrates how the handle would have been straight up. Jack demonstrates how you would use it, and Carmen's like, bro, no.
The look on his face.
He's like, oh, so you grab it and you start scraping?
And he's like, no, you'd hack away.
Hey, they had the Jack 6000 in front of him. He was just eager to get to work with it. Like, he's like, give me the square peg to put into that hole, and I'm going to start using this thing.
Okay, so let's compare the Jack 6000 to the Rickinator, who cuts out these perfectly neat holes. Jack goes to town, right? And then now we come over here, we bring him to the Northville farm, and he's wanting to scrape stuff because he's so excited. And Carmen's like, calm down.
He's so excited. He just can't hide it.
Jack looked a little defeated, but he did learn something. So look at that. Knowledge is power.
Yep. So anyway, the real thing they came for, Marty, he wants a date of this artifact. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Carmen says, well, looky here. This kind of artifact, this particular variety, this particular model, I guess, would date from 1620 to about 1740. So this type was made for about 120 years.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
I mean, it's a big time frame, but it's not at the same time.
Yeah. I mean,
and how long did they use as ads before discarding it?
I mean, was it made in 1739? Was it made in 1621?
Don't know. Crystal ball's broken.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's an exciting find nonetheless. So Jack asks if there are any houses or homesteads over on Lot 4. And Marty says, no. There has never been anything constructed there as far as they're aware.
As far as they know.
Yeah.
Maybe the hatch was constructed there.
They're not supposed to know about that.
Oops. But they also it sounds like Marty is implying when he says that if you were planning to say sink a shaft, you would need timbers and you would want them to like fit together really well. Lincoln logs. So if you're making Lincoln logs, you'd put them there and it's on a, tree lined lot. Well, maybe they have a bunch of people over there working. Then like maybe those guys are the ones using the adze to like make the particular joints and then send them over to whoever's making the shaft. Right? So you need them to fit together perfectly.
Close is probably enough back in the day.
Doubt it. Doubt it.
Were you there?
Maybe.
Charles probably was.
Charles was.
Hey, real quick, in the chat, John42 over on YouTube says that Jack reminds him of an eager Jack Russell Terrier. He's a wishbone.
What's the story, wishbone?
Yeah, so Jack Russell Terriers, man, they're like really hyper yippies.
Dreaming of?
So it's like really, really excited all the time. That's Jack.
Such
Begley.
Big imagination for such
little
pup.
I wonder if Jack Begley's middle name is Russell.
Maybe. It is now.
Well, that's what we're going to call him. All right. So anyway, they're kind of done with Carmen. They're like, Carmen, you're awesome. Thanks for your help. Gave us some good information. Let's go back to the war room.
And we're not going to show anybody what's in the other bag.
Nope. The other bag does not exist. It's like
you do not see this bag.
It's like a Jedi mind trick.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So they do go to the war room and they meet back up with Gary, Rick, Steve, Scott, Laird, and
they're reporting back.
Yeah, reporting back what Carmen told them. So basically, we could just tell you, okay, rewind about 5.5 minutes, 6-7 minutes of our podcast, and you can hear what they told the war room table, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the only other thing was this feels like an Easter egg to me. Because they're all sitting around this beautiful image, this aerial map. I think I figured out which year it is. And it's got the overlays on it that, it's from Steve's like wire grid is overlaid on it. So you can actually see if you're, pausing in all the right sections where the high water line and low water lines are, where his outlines of the swamp are on the grid. And I can actually see, oh my man, this made me so excited. I could see that the lot lines that I had lined up that I thought were off were not off.
Yay!
They were not off. They were in the right spots.
Nice.
And that where exactly the boulders for Nolan's cross laid out. So I could compare it to the other aerial images.
I totally missed that.
Oh, well, I didn't. I spent too much time on this and then the next time on where we get more maps. And I could see like where the lot lines.
Okay, wait a second then. If you can see all the lines on that big giant map,
well, not
where
perfectly.
Is lot 4 and 334-345?
Well, it's in the lot 4 area in the northwestern section. And in the grid. I'm gonna figure this grid out. Now I'm super stoked. Early in the season, right? They said they had to do the full like transverse grid of the island because how they have to record the artifacts now going forward. That they have to go back to CCH and be able to tell you what the elevation was of the find. They have to be able to tell you how deep it was in the soil, what it was that was found, all those things. So yeah, they're all going to be gridded off, but it's interesting to me to actually put that together and see that they would correlate with the grid that has been shown to us in the money pit. It's exciting.
I'm excited for you.
There's a lot of people on like their playback that are pushing like the 10-second forward button as I am talking, but that's okay.
No, I think they appreciate your love for the maps. Because somebody's got to do it. It might as well be you.
I will bear that burden.
Okay. All right. So in the war room, Jack, after they explain what Carmen told him, Jack wants to know what's it doing over on lot 4? You know, like what is something like this doing over
He almost
there?
sounds offended.
But then he's like, it must be for the hatch.
Okay, Jack, just because it's on lot 4 doesn't mean it's for the hatch.
Yeah, Steve says that the only thing on lot 4 that they have any information on really is just the potential hatch.
And does this surprise you? Because Steve, to me, doesn't seem like the kind of guy to be very interested in Xena's map.
Probably not, but
he's like, I'm not a theory guy. That's my best Steve Cupto impression.
I'll get my GPS.
Look at my GPS.
Yeah.
It's a rock.
Yeah. Okay.
I did the math.
Okay. I'll get to that later. All right. Steve goes on to say that they have a lot of finds on lot 4 on the western side of the island. And then he points to the map on the table.
Thank you.
And you're all excited about that.
Yes.
Gary says that he loves that date range. Let me go back up here and make sure I get the numbers right.
1620 to 1740.
That one. And it's well before the story of the money pit. So that's got everybody excited. In a little side interview, we have Rick saying that the date range is very interesting. And they seem to keep pushing the dates of the finds further and further back. And that's rather compelling.
Yes.
And he finishes with saying that there was a master plan and it was implemented over a number of years, if not decades.
So
Dun, dun.
They are going with the long game here, that this happened not in a short, frantic sinking of a shaft and hiding things. This is the long game.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long search, so yeah.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Good stuff. So I think we're moving on to the money pit at last.
At last. At last.
So what happens? Do you remember what happens at the beginning of the episode when they first go to the money pit?
No, that's why I have my handy dandy notes here.
Oh,
I'm happy to share.
Okay, so what happened? Let us know.
So Terry and Charles are overseeing the drilling of the newest boreholes.
Okay, timeout. So it showed like right toward the beginning.
Okay.
It showed Terry talking to Brendan from Choice.
Mhm.
And is it just me, or does Terry look like really tired? Does he look really tired, or does he look almost defeated? Like, what does he look like to you?
I think like his feet hurt.
He's exhausted or something.
The poor guy needs a chair.
Yeah, he knows that's probably what it is.
And you know what? Maybe that's just his face. It's like when I'm not wearing makeup
I've seen his face, okay?
and I show up, people are like, "Oh my gosh, are you sick? Are you okay? Have you been crying?" I'm like, "No, this is just my face, and you're gonna have to deal with it." So you know
every time
what?
I roll over in the morning, I see you. I'm like, "Oh man, she doesn't look like she's feeling good."
I mean, guys, it's just my face. Leave Terry's face alone.
He just looks like he's exhausted.
His feet hurt. Someone get him some insoles.
It's okay to be exhausted.
Can we get him a chair, like a stool? Because you know he hasn't left that money pit, and it's running all day, right? Yeah. Did you see like maybe a tall work stool for the poor guy?
Nope.
Like
he's standing all day.
Yeah. So
and I bet you he doesn't even have the soft squishy thing to walk on.
No, he needs the anti-fatigue mat.
Yeah, he needs
maybe we need to send some anti-fatigue mats and insoles for Terry, for next season.
Maybe.
Unless they ended up finding it and aren't going back to the money pit. But the guy really has been stuck there. Have you seen him anywhere else? How about a war room? Like the guy doesn't even.
Was he there at the first war room? I don't think he was this year.
The poor guy's not allowed to sit. I want a pedometer on that guy.
Dang. Now suddenly I feel bad.
Now you should feel bad.
And I just want to give Terry a hug.
His face and his feet hurt.
And I just want to give him a hug now. Sorry, Terry.
I'm sorry, but Tom Burns, he's amazing. I liked his comment over here in the live. Says, all that standing adds up.
Oh man, we should have like a bell, like a ding, or like a like a rim shot.
Oh man, that's true.
That's pretty good. All right, so we are doing borehole F2. Mm-hmm. The first sausage hits the table from a depth of 53 feet. Mm-hmm. It's only like a 4 foot long section, right?
Itty bitty little sausage.
Yeah, Terry explains that they are going to push this hole down to 120 foot depth just to be sure, but anticipate hitting a tunnel by the time they get to 110 feet. The extra 10 feet is just to make sure.
It's just, icing on the cake.
Yep. Charles explains that it's right in line with like the F2 is right in line with D2, which is where they found all the loose metal. Or sorry, they found the pieces of metal, it wasn't loose. And there can also be a tunnel there. So they're excited about this section of this borehole. There is another sausage put up on the table.
Another sausage?
Sausage.
Bring on the sausage.
From the depth of 86 feet this time. So that's getting next to the zone of interest.
Yes.
And Adam from Choice puts it up on the table. He's like, whoa, guys, this one's heavy.
Feels like wood.
Feels like wood.
Well, dude, it is. All wood.
Yeah. They hit a shaft.
Well,
dun, dun.
So it's speculated because the core is it's like full, right?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Charles is like pulling it apart and it's just like all solid.
Like mulch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
cool.
sonicking.
I was happy to see that.
That's good.
That's so Terry suddenly lit up.
Well, yeah,
he didn't look tired
hurt
anymore.
A little less.
No, he was like, he's in his element. He's like, this is what I live for at this point.
This is my moment.
Yeah. And so he got the core full of wood. And he says it could, or Charles actually said it could be part of a shaft.
Know what? Clotworthy said, part of a shaft? Yes. He's that friend that always just chimes in and repeats what you just said.
He's that type of friend that always chimes in and just repeats what you just said?
Yes.
Yes.
Like you.
Like you.
Like you.
I know you are, but what am I? All right. So Terry says that the grain is perpendicular to the drill, and that would indicate a shaft wall. Scott and Steve, the cavalry, come to join in.
The cavalry?
Yeah.
Are they the cavalry?
They needed backup. I don't know.
I thought that's what like the big three were. Well, what are Scott and Steve?
I don't know. Okay. So they're like the Rescue Rangers. I don't know. So like, why did they show up then?
Well, yeah, because Scott's in charge. And if there's something found, Steve is like, I got to enter it into the grid.
Like, she's like, I'll grab my GPS.
Steve, I'll grab my GPS.
Right?
I gotta do all these impressions.
I'll
gotta have GPS. A stand-up comedy show of my impressions. They'll all sound the same and nothing like the person.
Yeah, and then people be like, "What is this?" And there'll only be a handful of people that listen to our podcast,
and they'll find it hilarious because they'll know it's all Steve.
Thousands of people that listen to our podcast will know. But it's not likely you're going to get those people in the room with you.
I'll grab my GPS.
So, like, literally, if let's get you on stage doing your bit. You have half the room of our listeners and half the room of people that don't know what Oak Island is. And then you're like, I'll get my GPS. And then, like, half the room just busts up laughing. The other one, half the room's like, what is going on over here?
It's like a flash mob, but, like, for a comedy show.
Sure. It'll be fun.
Am I getting punked? Where's the video camera?
Oh, there would be a camera too.
Oh,
all right. So Steve gets up to the table and says, "How's it looking?" And Terry explains that from the 82 to 89 foot area, they have a substantial section of stacked timbers, and to him, it seems like a shaft wall. And Steve replied, "So we already know there is a tunneling system around C1, or this could be the original money pit."
He's very excited.
Yeah. Charles looks suspicious.
He did. Did you see how it panned to him and he was like, "Uh-oh.
They're on to me." I don't remember.
I do because I laughed.
I'm just reading your notes.
Oh, that's true.
So there was a side interview with Marty. He says they keep getting this evidence of tunnels and shafts and completely undocumented areas that are around the C1 cluster. And so they're trying to define what these shafts are and who made these tunnels and where they're going. They might even give them pieces to the puzzle that they need to figure this whole thing out.
So how many pieces to the puzzle? I mean, we had like 500 pieces to 1,000-piece puzzle, and we've collected a few this year.
Yeah. We're probably still only like 575.
Okay, well,
tops.
That's better than 5?
Yeah, but it's going to get slower and slower.
Wow, way to really have a positive outlook.
I don't know. I just don't know. Like, unless they find treasure this year. I don't know. Maybe next year.
You look tired.
No, I'm just sad.
Are you okay?
I'm just sad.
Yeah.
I want them to get 1,000. I want them to get to 999 pieces and be stuck. Wouldn't that be funny?
There's
Just kidding.
something wrong with
Just
you.
kidding.
Something very wrong.
All right, so we wrap up this section of the money pit with Terry saying that they should repeat it and see if they can hit it again. And it like the camera is like it's like a drone shot
Zooming
pulling out, and then Terry says, "Once more into the breach." And I'm thinking
says
like
that a decent amount of times.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like over here.
Oh, bingo!
There you go, Terry.
I guess I'm gonna have to pull that clip. We might need that. Once more into the breach. Maybe
Yeah.
like for each new borehole,
Mm-hmm.
we're going once more into the breach.
You could.
I mean,
All right, so that's actually it for the like real segments of the money pit.
yeah, well, okay, so there was like a 2-second glimpse
Of
at
what?
the money pit
Of what?
where they're looking at a sausage that's 109 feet deep that has chips of wood and chunks of wood in it.
Mhm.
And I think that was the same borehole because remember they were going to go down to 120, but they figured by 110 they'd be done. But then it just like disappears. No more money pit after that. And there was
Poof.
no context. Like they could have left that in to the other one or completely left it out.
Poof.
Poof.
All right, let's go back to the final war room of the episode.
The final war room.
Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the final war room. All right. Then we got who's who here in the final war room.
Yeah.
Who's there? Come on.
Oh, is that what you were trying?
Don't leave me hanging. I'm on the edge of my seat.
You had the same notes.
I know.
Oh, okay, so Rick, Marty.
I figure I'll let you do
Craig.
some of them since you wrote them.
Oh, bah humbug. Rick, Marty, Craig, Steve, Doug, Paul, and Tom have invited Krista Brousseau, Dr. Krista Brousseau, to give her analysis of the items sent to her for review. And Marty actually starts off by thanking her. What's your problem?
You don't have Peter written down here. I know I saw Peter.
Okay, here, let me fix that. Peter. So Peter was there too, guys.
All right. I feel better now. Go ahead.
Wow, you contributed to the notes.
Go on.
Anyways, the items that were sent to her. Oh, yeah. So Marty starts by saying how thankful he is that Krista came to them instead of them going to her. He's like, this saves us so much. He is like super grateful. And
So-
she's like, sweet, I get to come to a war room.
St. Mary's University is in Halifax.
Yes,
It's a little over an hour drive from Oak Island. So hey, that helps.
it does.
You know, then like because they don't just have to get themselves out there. They have to get the whole crew. Like they probably get 2 or 3 vans full of audio people, video
Okay.
people, producers.
I don't know that they probably have like another, but it does
time they
take
go up there.
them away from what they're doing. And that's a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
Right.
But the other side of the coin is we don't get to see Dr. Sean Yang.
Meh.
That's sad. But
Yeah.
whatever.
I like Sean.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm sure we'll see him again.
I hope so.
Maybe he can video in.
Maybe. All
Okay.
right.
So the
Sorry.
first artifact that they show, that she brings up and shows them is the button
Mhm.
from lot 4.
A button.
A button? Could it be?
Mhm.
She calls it a classic Tom Back button. And Marty is pretty quick to ask, like, what does that term mean? I didn't know either. So thank you, Marty. And she explains it's a term that's common to be given to a metal with a high zinc copper metal alloy. No,
Mhm.
that is a high zinc copper metal alloy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Tom Back.
Yeah. And so what was the breakdown of the button, of said button?
Breaka was copper 41.7%,
Mhm.
tin 20.2%,
Mhm.
arsenic 1.21%, lead 0.95%, zinc 8.1%.
All right. How much gold?
Zero.
What?
None.
No, they found gold on this button. If I remember right last week.
Slow your roll, dear friend. On the bottom of one of the slides, it actually does go on to say that the RXFXR9er walkie-talkie probably had a false reading because there was so many different elements it was trying to pull from. So that very small amount either could have been in the dirt or just could have been a false reading on that. But that's, one of the reasons you send it out. And they did test it before it was cleaned up, right?
Still sad.
I'm sorry that you're sad.
I like gold better than tin myself.
Well, I guess it's good that Gary didn't dance because it would have been a false gold
he'd
dance.
have to take it back.
He would. He'd have to take it back, and I don't know what the take back dance looks like. It's got to be rough. So she explains that
he has to do it in reverse.
Rewind. She explains that the arsenic and lead in there were likely original to the copper itself, this copper alloy, which would mean that it predated the modern refinement of copper alloys. So like copper alloys you find now don't have that in it because you would lose them within that refinement method. So
the process.
Yeah, when dating it, that's something to consider.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the loop on the back of the button, she is explained that it has a high bismuth content, which is indicative of copper originating in Britain. So she would say that is probably a British origin, the buttons of British origin. And she points out the circles that are around the eye of the single loop on the back and said that this particular way of doing it is a very indicative. Well, it's a characteristic it's very much a characteristic of buttons made in a very specific period. So she says between 1726 and 1776.
Ooh, I know what happened that year.
You do? Wait, what?
1776? Declaration of Independence?
Oh, yeah, that. I'm not saying. So what? Did they stop making buttons because they were like, they signed the Declaration? We can no longer make buttons
all
this
I'm
way.
saying is, it's funny. It's just weird that they don't bring that up when they have the boot leather last season, and they're like blah 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 to 1492. They're like, oh, 1492. Let's talk about Columbus.
No, they're saying it could have been Columbus's shoe.
I know.
What are they gonna say here? It must be whose button? Like
Benjamin Franklin.
Declaration of Independence, and you're thinking, okay, it must be affiliated to someone.
I just think it's funny that they're willing to throw out funny things when it's one date and not another. Meh.
Wow. Use weird.
Okay.
So backing it up. Button.
When she was talking about the bismuth,
yes,
that reminded me of the Amazing Race Canada. Do you remember they went to that town that had like all the streets named after elements?
Oh,
and they had to find Bismuth Street.
That's true.
That's all.
Oh,
Amazing Race Canada is a lot of fun. You just go watch it. It's on YouTube.
That's true. Oh, yeah, weren't they running around in like kangaroo costumes with those really like sweet running bouncy shoes?
Yeah, so they must have been in Australia, I guess.
I think it was, yeah, because they had just left like a kangaroo rescue ranch or something. Anyways, the next object is a piece of metal, and she says it's definitely also a copper alloy. And with this one, it has the ranges. So the copper in it is 19 to 24%. There's tin in it at 28 to 30%. Zinc at 0.5 to 0.7%. Arsenic at 0.7 to 1%. Lead at 4.8 to 5.3%. And sulfur at 0.5 to 0.7%. And that the item has a pretty high tin content, which she explains is consistent with a tin bronze bell, like with a bell metal, okay, or a bronze that is a bell metal.
Yeah, and, like the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, and of course, so because it goes with your dates or whatever.
I'm just saying,
so
Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and remember Court Lindahl, his like whole theory, the number one theory was all about the founding fathers and boom.
Okay, but this button, like,
It came off of Thomas Jefferson. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying it could have been like somebody's grandfather's jacket or whatever, and it got caught on a tree and his buttons spilled everywhere.
Could've.
Or maybe that pouch that it was found by, it was some kind of seamstress frolicking through the woods and the strap broke and her buttons fell out.
Could be. You're probably right.
Yeah, definitely about the button and the someone frolicking.
Okay, sorry, carry on.
Okay, we were just talking about the bell metal, and she again goes on to say that it's probably older because the arsenic would have been removed in the more modern refinement of the copper.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick is paying attention to the slides, kind of like I was in the gold situation. Rick points out that on the screen it says the bell metal was used to construct early cannons by the Spanish and Portuguese. Well, we've heard a lot about that lately.
We have. Yes. Terry Duval is all about the Portuguese.
Right. And she's explaining that there being tin in that little piece of metal provide rigidity, which would be used to strengthen this type of metal. And this metal would have been used in the production of bells. And of course, what they're more interested in is the cannons.
Sure.
I mean, maybe it was a baby bell.
Could be.
Not like the cheese, but the cheese is delicious. I love Baby Bell cheese.
Hey, we got new mail.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at that.
We'll go and pick that up and open it up on our
pregame
show next Monday.
Yep.
Or Tuesday. Gosh, I always say Monday. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
All right. So is there anything else to say about these metals?
We talked about the cannons.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dr. Brousseau did ask why lot 4, like why you're looking there.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick explained the interest there is because of Zena Halpern's map, which shows a hatch in that area. And he made it very clear they're still trying to vet this and make sure that, trying to figure out if it's a thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
So good on you, Rick. Good on you.
Yep. I mean, what's his thing? He's always looking for corroborative evidence.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be a thing. It could not be a thing. It could not. I still don't think that's a date. And maybe it's newer than what that special map says. Who knows? But,
well, I don't know. If you look at money, it's all there's dates on the back and stuff, and on the seals and whatnot, and it's all in Roman numerals. So why
that's your rebuttal?
Sure.
Wait, you just said it's in Roman numerals.
Didn't you say that the date's in Roman numerals?
I said the dates are in Roman numerals on that other piece of paper,
mm-hmm.
which are clear. Not the date. Sorry, the latitude and longitude or whatever, those lines were in Roman numerals.
Oh,
but on Zena's map, it's all spelled out.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
So what were you saying about the money? That it was in Roman numerals?
I'm just saying, American money, if you pulled out $1, you'd see a whole bunch of Roman numerals all over it.
You'd see a lot of things all over it.
I know. I'm just saying, why wouldn't they use Roman numerals? I mean, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. Mm-hmm.
No, that's my point. They would use them.
Okay. Well,
but this one didn't have it.
Yeah. Well, carry on. I'm already past it.
I don't know. Okay. So yeah, they're talking about the hatch. Doug is super excited that the metal, it could be associated with the Portuguese because they were among the first to have cannons aboard their ships.
Boom.
Goes the cannon.
Yeah. Cause then they do show some, archival footage of the mini cannonballs being found all around the island. Well, in the 2 spots, one with Gary and Rick from a couple weeks ago, and then the other one that if Steve was doing his job, he would have found it, but Michael John had to do it for him.
Maybe he was coaching. Yeah, Michael John.
No, I guess you're right, because if anybody can find a rock, it's Steve. He can show people, no, dude, this is what you need to look for.
Yeah, he was like, let's find some round rocks. Let's rock and roll.
Oh man, that's going to be on the next Guptill guarantee stamp.
Let's rock and roll. Oh no, because I was saying that I need to make Laird like a certification that says it's a rock. Because then when people are always coming to him, or poor Steve is coming up all excited, he can be like, it's a rock.
No, he should do it on his forehead. It's a rock.
That paperwork, it's a rock. It's like when he was pulling up the Mi'kmaq pottery and he says, this is where we find out it's a rock, and it's like all fragile. I was like, Laird, you know what rocks are.
What if you made him two for Laird? One that said it's a rock, and the other one was a stamp of approval.
One that says it's not a rock.
It could. I'm sure you could come up with something.
Some other kind of stamp of approval. So like one's in red and one's in green.
Yeah, sure.
Like a yes and no.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. That's cool. We can do that.
Yep. So Clotworthy explained about it is well documented that the Portuguese explorers frequently visited Nova Scotia between the 16th and 17th centuries. That's the 15 and 1600s. And some believe that a member of the Portuguese Templar branch known as the Knights of Christ came to the region much earlier, and they might have hid a priceless treasure. That's what we're crossing our fingers for.
Exactly.
So it ends with Marty, huh?
Yeah, and he's in just like a side interview that says that this is why Dr. Krista Brousseau is such a valuable resource. Who would have thought that a piece of metal like this would have been found on lot 4? Like just this random little piece, and you send it off to her, and it blows everything up. So something on this island attracted a lot of people, a lot of attention. A lot of people come through here. The question is,
who, what, when, where, and why? The questions are
why.
Well, maybe we'll find out next time on the Curse of Oak Island.
Oh yes. And
hey, time out real quick. Janet in the chat says that this is what should be on Laird's goods stamp.
Do you want a trowel?
Do you want a trowel?
Trow team. Trow team.
And the other one, it's a rock.
I do like the other one. Definitely needs to be it's a rock.
Yeah. All right, so that's the episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us while we discussed it, because it was a fun episode.
It was.
I feel like there wasn't a ton of like really, I don't know, there was
huge things.
Yeah, there wasn't huge things happening, but there was a lot of cool little things, and it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. So
I think they're building us up for something. Like next episode, what I'm most excited for
is Michael John.
Yes, Michael John.
Yeah, I saw him in the
there was a Michael John sighting, and he finds everything.
Yeah.
So
what do they call him? Eagle Eye?
Yeah. Was it Eagle Eye? Is that what they call him on the island? I'm pretty sure, because he does find everything. And if it were me and I wanted to find something, maybe Hensky and Michael John. Hensky tells you what it is, and Michael John's like on it. Maybe he's just going to find like a bunch of round rocks.
Wow. That would be something.
That would be something.
It'd be cooler if he found gold.
It would be. But, which I took a ridiculous amount of screenshots of, is there's a money pit map that Steve's like standing in front of in the research center. And it's very much, it's good information. You see that there's a line 0, -1, -2, -3
at the money pit.
Yeah, holes I've never seen before. Then there's more lines about the projected tunnels and shafts.
Sometimes they give away a little too much information with those, don't they?
Only for me, because I'm Eagle ID. And what I was wonderfully excited about is, okay, so when I'd line up my money pit grid based off of the information I had, it didn't run on a perfect north-south line, and it really bothered me because I'm like, Steve would not set it up that way. But I forgot he did it based off the money pit grid that was not set up by a surveyor initially. Terry had set it up. So I was right. And the money pit grid doesn't land on a perfect north-south line, and I can see the angle in which it actually does lie, so I can lay it perfectly out. I'm really excited, if you can't tell.
I can tell.
Oh, I'm excited, and I just can't hide it.
You have a light about you.
I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so what do we have left to do? We have some Clotworthies, don't we?
Yep, we have a Clotworthy winner.
Okay, so we have a Clotworthy moment of the week last week.
Yes.
And who is the winner of said Clotworthy? Which phrase was the winner?
Phrase?
The button discovered on Lot 4 near the believed hatch feature, containing traces of both silver and gold?
Or not.
So, the button we talked about that actually doesn't have silver and gold. It won!
It's the Clotworthy champion of the week. Woo-hoo.
Y'all got excited, and then it's like Laird pulled the piece of plywood out from under you. Ha!
Yeah, he needs a button or he needs a stamp that just says it's just a button. Just like it's a plain
It's a
button.
lipstick case.
Yeah, it's a lipstick case. Okay. All right. So we have two new Clotworthy contenders going up against each other to see
For this week.
To see which will be the Clotworthy moment of the week for this week. What are the two Clotworthy contenders? Let's hear them.
Let me tell you something. They're themed.
They're themed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's hear it.
A possible ads discovered on Lot 4?
A possible ads?
Found on Lot 4?
No. Discovered on Lot 4.
Discovered?
It's the same thing, sure.
Same thing. Well, it was possibly an ads, and it has been confirmed. So here is what the as is against.
A piece of wood, possibly cut by an adze?
A piece of wood, possibly cut by an adze.
There is an adze up against the wood that it cut.
So it's ads versus wood.
Ads versus its product.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the choices. You will go. If you'd like to,
you will go.
No, if you'd like to go to facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast, find our group tab, click on it. You will find Could It Be an Oak Island group. Join it up if you aren't already, and you can
like our page.
And like our page while you're there. Sure, that's good point.
That's very important.
Yeah, and then you can vote on this week's Clotworthy moment of the week, and you can have a say in what we play next week.
Could it be?
It could be.
And you're going to get those uploaded pretty quickly here.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to do it right after we're done. I'm not even going to move. I'm going to get the Clotworthies posted as soon as we're done.
Look at how efficient.
Well, the reason I can do it is because you gave me the images. The images are the hard part. It's easy to get the text because literally all I have to do is press these buttons again. Because I type it all out. The image, I would have to get the history app open, find out wherever this came from in the episode, wait for 10 minutes of commercials.
You know what
it's
you
a long
could do?
process. What?
So the notes we just read? The Clotworthy moments are actually indicated by timestamp on those notes. So if you look for the one, you could just go, oh, look, it's at exactly this many minutes and this many seconds. I could go there and get exactly what I need.
It's never that easy.
Oh, but it is, because you just read the notes that have the thing.
But you did that through the DVR, right?
No, I do it through the app.
Okay, well, there's still a problem with waiting through those ads.
You mean the ads?
Yes, the ads suck. Yeah.
No more ads.
Well, that's why we subscribe to YouTube Premium, so we don't have to deal with the ads. You know what I'm saying?
Down with the ads.
I'm gonna chop those ads down. All right, so I think that's kind of it.
That's it. Let's tell them how they can get a hold of us.
You can email us at oakislandpodcast@gmail.com.
Correct. You can also find us on Facebook at Oak Island Podcast and on Instagram at Oak Island Podcast.
You can find us on YouTube if you're watching us there. Why don't you give us a like and a subscribe right now? We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Most people just listen to this through the podcast. We have, we have thousands of people that download it every week, but people that watch it are much less. So if you're listening, go to youtube.com/Oak Island Podcast. Find us there. Click like, subscribe, ring the little bell thing to get the notifications when we go live. And then you can, watch us. Hi. Hey, say hi.
Hi.
If they're joining us.
And you can see my face when I look tired. Because
you don't look tired. You look beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see me. I make faces the entire time. I'm raising my eyebrow.
Yeah, he just
I'm like
randomly
moving my
waves
eyes all
at
around
people.
circles. I'm doing crazy things. So
Okay,
tune in.
so you can also find us on Twitter at Oak Island Pod.
You can.
We have a website, oakislandpodcast.com,
We do.
where you can shop for your own Oak Island swag. And you can listen to the podcast there. Of course, if you're on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcasting app you have, look us up. Could it be an Oak Island podcast? We also have a phone number. You could leave us a message.
Yep. All you have to do is call 360-836-4549.
Correctamundo. And hey, we're on Twitch. I don't think we ever mentioned that.
We're on Twitch. You can go to twitch.com/Oak Island Podcast and find us there.
There seems to be a theme.
Yeah.
Oak Island Podcast.
Yeah.
But
we're not the Oak Island Podcast.
No.
I see them pop up every once in a while when I type in things. I'm like, who are these guys? But there's someone else.
Oak Island
we are
Podcast
just Oak
minus
Island.
the.
Yeah, minus the. They're trying to hitch a ride on us, but that's fine. You guys do you.
You behave.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to say before we go, we do have Patreon.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Actually, stall for me.
Stalling. I'm doing
we
a
have
dance.
lots of new people that have signed up, so I wanted to.
Yeah, we've had several new people sign up. Thank you. We have anybody that has signed up at the $25 level is getting a set of cards.
Yep.
And we're trying to get to our $500 a month goal so that we can start doing cards again. So the order has been sent out to the printers so we can get the ones that are more than what we had in stock sent out.
Yep, we only had 3 sets of cards in stock when I made the announcement, and I think
we had more than that.
Like seven people signed up or increased their monthly contributions to $25 on Patreon, and we decided anybody that did that, to either brand new or upped their pledge to $25, would get a set of Oak Island trading cards. And then when we get up to, like Deidre said, combined through everybody that supports us up to $500 per month, she will start making the Oak Island trading cards once again, and they will be mailed out to every person that supports us on Patreon at any level. Yeah. We're currently at $280, so we're over halfway there. We're over halfway there. Whoa. Yeah. So go to patreon.com/Oak Island Podcast. Follow us there and support us, and you will start getting Oak Island trading cards in your mail every week. Physical cards, like they're not digital. We mail them to you, and they're awesome. So go look them up. That's patreon.com/Oak Island Podcast. I think that's it.
Yep, that's it. Cool. Finally, that's always a mouthful. So until next time.
Could it be?
Night.